This gaming PC just came to shop because when you go to fire the system up, all the lights and fans appear to fire right up, but you get no display out. Like you can let the system sit forever and you'll never get anything. So what's going on here? Well, anytime you have a system that fires up, but you end up with no display, it's usually because your system failed to post. Otherwise known as the power on self-test, that your motherboard runs on every single startup to test the health and compatibility of all your internal components like your CPU, RAM, and GPU. However, because all this happens before your system sends a display signal, if one of the components fails, well, the system won't display out, as it basically hangs, letting you know something's up. Just like what's happening here. So how do you figure out what component's causing you to not post? Well, typically the first thing I'm always looking for are any kind of diagnostic LEDs, like this one on our GPU, which is a power indication LED that on most GPUs means insufficient power, which would make sense when we turn the system on, why the fans really never start up. Like they'll try to, but then they stop. So this means we either likely have a bad power supply or possibly a fault with this cable. So let's first just try unplugging it, then just reseating the cable to make sure it just didn't come loose. Where now if we go ahead and turn the system back on, we'll see the LED is blue. Check that out. We got a display out, but we're not without any problems because, well, the screen just went black and we're getting all kind of visual artifacting going on, which makes me really suspicious of inadequate power. And I also tried the pigtail off of it, same exact issue. So I bet we probably have a bad power supply, but we can actually verify that with our Dr. Power 3 power supply tester, which if we just hook up to our 24-pin ATX and 8-pin PCIe and turn it on, we'll see that our 24-pin looks fine, and so does our 8-pin. So if it's not our power supply, what gives? Well, outside of power, there are really 3 things that can cause that type of artifacting. Either a bad connection to the PCIe slot, excessive temperatures, or just a bad GPU. So in order to figure out which one it is, let's just pull this card out, where I notice not only do we have a lot of dust on the PCIe slot, but I'm also noticing that we have this cable wrapping around that might be interfering with a secure fit. So let's just move this out of the way. And for those curious what this cable even is for, well, it's a USB connection to the Bluetooth Wi-Fi card that's built into the system. So with that said, let's clean off the PCIe connector and slot that back into place, get it reconnected into power, where now if we turn the system on, not only do we have our blue LED, all the visual artifacting that we were seeing earlier has completely gone away. So I'm not 100% sure on what was happening, but I do have an idea that based on the state of the system, it was either the amount of dust in that PCIe slot, or it all had to do with this USB cable, which actually is pierced if you look close enough, which I believe was sitting underneath the GPU, preventing it from seating all the way, which may have been enough to get a display out, but not enough to get around that visual artifact. And even though that's just a theory, I'm glad it's gone, but what's not gone is the amount of dust. So let's take this PC out back and blow it out. Okay, I had to stop recording because are you kidding me? Look at the amount of dust. That right there is wild.